In this second vodcast, we're looking at Kohlberg's theory of moral development. So why don't we get straight into it? Whereas we've been looking at normative theories of ethics, Kohlberg's is far more a descriptive theory of moral development, in that it really focuses on describing how people think about and decide what course of action is ethically right. It's not really about what is the right thing to do. So it's not normative in the sense of giving us advice. What it instead suggests is that moral reasoning develops sequentially over 3 levels with 2 stages in each. Now, generally I find the way he numbered this difficult, but in essence there's 6 steps in 3 broad categories. While it is a descriptive theory, it is normative in the sense that most people think being at a higher stage is better than being at a lower stage, although strictly speaking it is that descriptive theory. The core of what Kohlberg is talking about is in this table here, and we're going to go through it in a minute, but it's really just getting through that idea that there are different motivations as to why people do something. So it's all about the motivation for why people are doing something rather than what they're actually doing, which way they're deciding. And that's the critical point to understand. So why don't we have a look and then go through it in a bit of detail with an example to make this particular point. So the first reason that people do something is stage 1, and where it's you're doing something to avoid punishment. So one of the ways I often think about this is a theory of moral development. So we can think about as kids develop, etc. is one way to think about the problem. So when you do something to avoid punishment, when you do it to avoid time out, right? When you're doing it to avoid that, you're at stage 1. It's pre-conventional because it's not where most people are. Most people have moved beyond just avoiding punishment. But avoiding punishment is a reason people do acts a certain way, do make certain ethical decisions. Stage 2, which is still pre-conventional, is where you do something thinking you'll get something in return, right? You follow rules because you know you're going to get something in return. With kids, they often do something thinking that they might get a lolly if they do it, right? It's that direct exchange. Level 2 over here is at the conventional stage. Now, in the conventional stage, as the name suggests, most people, Kohlberg would say, are in either stage 3 or 4. In stage 3, the reason that we do something, why we have good behaviour, is that's what our peers and those close to us, like family, want. So you do it because that's what your family or your friends expect. That's why you do it. If you're doing it for peer pressure, family pressure, or just their expectations, not even pressure, stage 3 is the reasoning. Stage 4 moves away from the peers and people close to you and you start doing it for the social system. Okay, so this could be why do you follow the law? Because that's what society expects, right? We're not talking about your close associates here. We're starting to talk about broadly society, things like the rule of law. Okay, post-conventional or principled levels, the level 3, the 2 stages there, that's about moving beyond what others think, either those close to you or society generally. And it's where you make your decision to uphold the law because it's consistent with your values or fairness or rights. It's consistent with your view of ethics. Similarly, at stage 6, right, you would actually act in accordance with your principles even if the law didn't allow it. So this is the idea of acting ethically even if it was illegal. Okay. So we can see there we move from a direct benefit and punishment motivation through to a social reference group, the individual and general society, before finally ending up in the position of looking at doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and/or we would break the law because it was the right thing to do. We're being principle-based. And that's the essence of Kohlberg's theory of moral development. So one way to understand this problem is to go back to where it comes from. And Kohlberg looked at a series of boys in Chicago over 20 years, and he would give them dilemmas at different points in their life to see how they would solve it. So an example is this Heinz dilemma. So the Heinz dilemma involves Heinz, a man whose wife is dying from cancer. He can get a drug from a local chemist who's charging 10 times what it costs to make it. So there's a huge profit, right, involved for the chemist. Heinz can't raise all the money, can only get half the money. He goes, says, my wife's dying, can I get it cheaper? Can I pay you later? The chemist refuses, saying he discovered the drug, he's going to make money from it. Later that night, Heinz breaks into the chemist and steals the drug. So why does he steal, or what's the right thing to do? So children who are at level 1, people who are at level 1. Now notice in stage 1, it doesn't matter whether he should or should not steal the drug, right? In both answers, they're at stage 1. The issue is, why is he doing it? So in stage 1, they're doing it, you'll remember, to avoid pain or punishment. And in both these answers, we see going to jail, and if he doesn't, his wife's family will destroy his career. Right? It's both pain and punishment in both. Okay. Stage 2, he's doing it so he will have company, and/or he won't have to support his wife while she's going through the thing. So he's doing it for an immediate gain. And again, notice it doesn't matter whether he should or should not steal the drug. When we hit stage 2, the conventional level, he's doing it because his family and friends would agree, or because they think it's wrong. In stage 2, level 2, which is stage 4, Heinz should not steal the drug as it's against the law. Remember, this is about society as a reference point. Duty as a husband, that's what most of society would think. They're not talking about those close to him in the reasoning. Finally, when we get to level 3, where 10 to 15% of people are doing it, he should not do it because of the principle involved, right? We should fund drug discoveries, or he should steal it because the right to life is paramount. Both of these are a principled argument, right? A principled argument. Finally, in stage 2, level 3, which is stage 6 in our diagram, we see Heinz should not steal the drug as it breaches the basic principle of justice, or he should because he would want his wife to do so, the golden rule, or even a bit of Rawls' view of justice. So what we can see is the one thing I'd like you to take away. It doesn't matter so much whether he steals or not steals under this framework. It's the reason, and being able to classify that particular reason. A major criticism of Kohlberg's approach was that it may well be gendered in the fact that and by gendered it was, it's associated with males, because he really only studied boys as they developed. So he concluded that women seem to be stuck at stage 3. Now that's really been criticised by several scholars, including Gilligan, who found that really sometimes males and females look at things differently. So there's a different way of thinking about it. And she actually proposed an ethics of care, which again is another way of thinking about ethics. We don't look at that, but you might be interested in looking at that and thinking about how even our approach to ethics can change the answers that we actually look for. So hopefully you'll have a bit of a look at a problem and see if you can apply this theory of moral development to a real business scenario.